Hi everyone, Mr. Hawkins with Hawkins Tech, and in this video I will be showing you how to use the windowing system or the updated multitasking on iPad in iPadOS 26. Now I've made several videos covering this, but this is for mainly if you're new to how this works. If you're used to the old split view, I'm going to show you how to completely use the new windowing system on the iPad. And the first thing you got to know is, how do you even enable this? Well, I already have a control center for it, but I'm going to show you how to enable it. So what you want to do is you want to go into your settings. Once you're in your settings, you want to scroll all the way till you get to multitasking and gestures. Once you get to multitasking and gestures, you're going to have three options. On the far left, you're going to have full screen apps. This is what I'm in right here. If I click on the middle, then you see it turns it into a MacBook style interface where the window is to the far left. That's called the new windowing system, and we have these three traffic lights. If you're familiar with Mac OS, even if you've never personally owned one, I've never owned a MacBook, but I have seen these on MacBooks and I've used it before, taken a look at it. You have three buttons. The red is to close it, the yellow is to minimize the window, and the green is obviously to make it full screen. Then we have Stage Manager. Now you can click on different things. See, I have YouTube enabled here. Now you want to know how to access the control, as you can switch between windowing and Stage Manager. So what you want to do is, I'm going to scroll up to another page. You want to press and hold your control center options here. Once you do that, you want to scroll up all the way till you'll find the windowing control. I don't know where Apple positioned it in. Oh, I believe it's right here. Multitasking. It will show, I believe it's supposed to be a square with the resemblance of Stage Manager, sort of a glyph icon. Once you've added that, from there you can toggle off Stage Manager. And if you go into settings, this is what it looks like. When you toggle it on, it will then turn your iPad into the Stage Manager that you currently see. Now, with the traffic light buttons, or we'll get to those in just a second, but you can resize windows using this sort of curved line at the bottom right corner of the window. You can resize it. I'm not sure how you would do it on Mac OS, as I don't own a MacBook. I've seen this, but I do not know how you would drag a window like this and resize it, other than using the traffic light arrows. Now, if you want to have two apps side by side, one thing I did not know, I found this out yesterday, is you can actually press and hold on the traffic light buttons and you get 8 different options, 9 if you count the one at the bottom. You can push it to the center or the far right, push it to the far right, or that was to the left, put it at the top, then drag it at the bottom. Then you can make it full screen, push it to the left. You can make it even more smaller, or you can make it a quarter of a window. And that's pretty much the same as pushing it to the far right. It just shrinks it. Now, this option here is to add another window. So for example, if I click on the clock widget here, then I resize it just enough, you can see we have sort of a grabber line here. Then it might take a second. You see here how I'm moving around these windows. Kind of like how split view used to be. But if you want to get back split view, I made a video on how you would get that back. But since I didn't know you can press and hold on the traffic light buttons, you want to push this as far left as possible and make it as skinny as possible. And then do the same for this one. But then what you want to do is actually stretch it. And now that's how you get back split view. So that's one way as to how you would use sort of the updated multitasking in iOS 26. Now, depending on how many iPads you have, or how many windows you have rather, and it also depends on what iPad you have, there will be a limitation with the amount of windows you can have open. So on the iPad Pro with the M chip, you can have up to 8 windows actively open and they will not refresh. I've tried this and I've ran into a limit as I have a 2020 iPad Air. So I have the Mail app open. If I drag in calendars here, for some reason calendars is not allowing me to drag it in. But if I drag in photos, then notes, for some reason, some of these are not working 100% properly. But if I drag in, say, maybe Gemini, now you can see the limitation right there. You can't have up to 5 apps. You can only have up to 4. As you see, Safari is frozen in place as it just gotten dimmer. You actually can scroll up. See, I'm able to click different things here. If I move photos down, here, I can actually scroll in Apple Music or Apple TV rather. And I also can scroll within Gemini as well. See, now I can scroll in Safari. That is, of course, until I bring in Gemini again. Or maybe I'll try to bring in another app, like the games one. For whatever reason, some of these aren't working properly. Now Safari is dimmed, and as you see, I can't even scroll up in Safari anymore. That's the limit. With older iPads, like the 2020 iPad Air, you will run into that limit. Because this iPad has the A14 Bionic chip with 4 gigabytes of RAM. So if I go into Geekbench 6 here, you can see, if I go into some of the history I've ran, this is what I ran on Saturday, 2118 single core, 5017 for multi-core. And if I go to it, it should say the chip. We have an Apple A14 Bionic processor, and the problem with that chip is it has those limitations. It does not allow you to open up 8 apps at once. That is for the iPad Pro with the M series chip. So not even the iPad Pro from 2018 with the A12Z and A12X chip can even open up 8 apps. That is only for M series iPads. So the iPad Pro from 2021 and the iPad Air from 2022 and later. Now, most likely, if you're going through the setup for iPadOS 26, if you maybe are setting up your iPad for the first time, it is possible one of the screens you're going to see is the way you would want your apps displayed. It will ask you if you want your apps in full screen, windowed apps, or Stage Manager. Now, I was really hyped for this feature back in June when I found out it was coming to all iPads. Initially, when Stage Manager first came out in 2022, it was limited to iPads with the M series chip. So the iPad Pro, as well as the 2022 iPad Air. Then in iPadOS 16.1, they later brought it to the iPad Pro from 2018 and 2020. Well, now with iPadOS 26, every iPad gets the feature. While technically the iPad Air was capable because it had 4 gigs of RAM and a newer processor, so did the iPad Pro from 2018 on its lower end storage model, 4 gigs of RAM with an A12X or A12. It was the A12X chip. So the iPad Air from 2020, which is this one, and the iPad Pro from 2018 had the same dimensions. Although the iPad Air did not end up with the feature. The iPad Pro did from 2018. Well, now every iPad has the feature. Now, while not technically related to Stage Manager, one thing that I would like to see Apple improve on, and this is with iPadOS in the future maybe, is full screen content in Safari. With the windowing system, if I go to my other channel here, well, it's not letting me pop up with my other channel here. But say if I click on the most recent video, have your iPhone shut the. So if you're familiar with Mac OS or computers in general, if you're in a window and you go to make a video full screen, it takes up the whole screen. Now, while iPadOS is not a one-to-one copy of Mac OS, as it is trying to be in a way, I would love to see Apple bring full screen support within Windows where it takes up the entire screen. Equivalent is to making it full screen like you would do if you were in or on a Mac. But that's overall how to use Stage Manager / the new windowing system. This video is primarily for people who are new to the feature. And in iPadOS 26.1, Apple did re-enable split screen. And I will make an updated video closer to when that is out or when I install the RC on how to use that. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Mr. Hawkins with Hawkins Tech, and I will see you guys in the next video.